Hey guys, it's Maddie from Let's Do Plants, and today we are talking all things Instant Pot. Now, if you are brand new to the Instant Pot and you have never used one before, I highly recommend checking out the beginner video in the description box down below. That one will be geared a lot more towards using the Instant Pot for the first time, whereas today's video is talking more about the tips and tricks behind the Instant Pot. If you've used the Instant Pot before but feel like maybe you're not getting the most out of it that you can, then this video is here to help. And with that, let's get started. In spite of the name, the Instant Pot is not actually cooking things instantly. I think that is a very common misconception. People think that the Instant Pot is used to cook things as quickly as possible, which in some cases is true, but you do have to take into consideration other factors such as the time that it takes for the Instant Pot to come to pressure and also the time that it takes to release the pressure, and those both add on time to your total cook time. So when a recipe says that something will cook in the Instant Pot for 20 minutes, you do need to add on time at the beginning for the Instant Pot to come up to pressure, and then also at the end for the pressure to release, unless of course you're doing a quick release. And the amount of time that it takes to come up to pressure can vary as well depending on the volume and quantity of the contents you have inside. So if your Instant Pot is not very full, it will come up to pressure quickly, and if your Instant Pot is very, very full, it will take a lot longer to come up to pressure. And speaking of cook times, size does matter for your ingredients as well. For example, if you're steaming whole beets or whole potatoes, the larger ones will of course take longer to cook than the smaller ones. So just some things to keep in mind when you're trying to plan out how long it's going to take to cook in the Instant Pot. Now let's quickly talk about quick release versus natural release. If you've used your Instant Pot to pressure cook something, you will notice at the end of the cook time that the pin is up. That means that the pressure has built up inside and it needs to be released before you can open the lid. So there are of course two ways to do this. The first one is natural release. This is the method that I personally prefer. I don't like to deal with the steam or with having the potential of things spurting out of the nozzle. So I personally like to let it come down from pressure naturally, at least partially. Sometimes I will do a partial natural release, and then after about 15 or so minutes, I'll just turn the nozzle and release any pressure that is remaining. I have had experiences where I was cooking oatmeal and I did a quick release right when it was done cooking, and I had a lot of oaty liquid coming through the nozzle, and it was just not the best experience. So ever since then, I have opted for doing at least a partial natural release. Usually I'll let it fully release all the way until the pin drops, and that way I don't have to deal with any hot steam coming out. I don't have to deal with putting it near a venting fan or anything like that. However, if you are in a time crunch or if a recipe calls for it, there is a way to do a quick release, and that is basically to release the pressure as soon as it is done cooking. It is best to do it near a fan or a vent or something like that. They actually have this cool little tool that you can place on the nozzle, and that can direct the steam to point in whatever direction you like. So I'll link those in the description box down below in case you want to check it out. Something that I did not know for the longest time of owning my Instant Pot is that these handles on the side are actually a lid holder. This is something that I wish I knew a long time ago, because I was always trying to hold this with one hand and stir with another hand, and they already have this built right in. Now just keep in mind, you don't want to rock this back and forth. You might break off this handle, but essentially just place it in carefully, and there you go. You have a place to hold your lid. Now speaking of the lid, when you first buy your Instant Pot, it does come with a silicone ring. But did you know that these can actually be changed out? So I did notice a few years ago that this silicone ring does hold on to smells really, really well. And this is dishwasher safe, so I remember putting mine in the dishwasher and it didn't really help. So what I actually did when I started making Instant Pot yogurt is to buy an extra set of liners. And so these are really great if you need to switch out your silicone ring. If you have cooked something with a really strong scent, you likely want to take out your ring and either wash it or just replace it altogether. What I do now is to keep one ring specifically for strong smelling recipes, and then I will keep another ring for more delicate things like yogurt. So these are quite inexpensive as well. I just got them on Amazon. I will link the ones I got in the description box down below. Highly recommend picking up some spare ones, not only for cooking, but even just to change out your ring. I think it is recommended that after a year or so, you change out the ring anyway. So if you haven't done so yet, it might be time to change it. Now, as I mentioned, these are all dishwasher safe. And so is your Instant Pot lid. Now, I haven't actually washed mine in the dishwasher because I haven't felt the need, but I do think that is really handy to know. If you do cook something with a really strong smell and you want to wash this whole entire lid, of course you can do that in the dishwasher. And you can also, of course, wash this inner pot liner as well, which I have done many times in the dishwasher. And then something that is commonly overlooked to wash, which please do not forget to wash this, is the steam trap in the back. I remember the first year that I had my Instant Pot, I don't think I ever washed this, and one time I took it out and it was growing some things that should not be grown in there. So definitely do not forget about your steam trap. Just give it a quick rinse with some soap and pop it back on, and you're good to go. Also, something I wish I knew about this Instant Pot liner is that you can actually purchase a second one as backup, or also to cook things one after another without having to wash it. So a lot of times when I'm doing a meal prep or a batch prep, I will be using my Instant Pot basically all day. And sometimes it is really inconvenient to have to empty this out and wash it right away to get it back into use. So a second liner does make that a lot easier. And then also even just for serving items or for storage. If you're storing things in your Instant Pot liner in the fridge, then it might be handy to have a backup liner. Also, speaking of storing things in here, if you do have leftovers after a meal, there are simple ways to just store this in the fridge. I like to use these silicone lids that fit pretty perfectly on the Instant Pot, and then that way I don't have to take out another Tupperware. I can leave all of my leftovers in here. So these are actually convenient for a lot of different uses. I use them for a lot of my bowls. I will link these silicone covers in the description box below as well. And that actually brings me to my next tip, which is you don't actually need to use the Instant Pot lid to cook in your Instant Pot. So if you are using either the slow cooker or the saute function, you can use a regular glass lid. This is just one that I have for my other pans, and just rest it on top. You don't need to get that pressurized tight seal like you do with the Instant Pot lid for both the slow cook mode and the saute mode. Speaking of cooking modes, let's talk a little bit about the cooking functions of the Instant Pot. Now, you might hear a lot of people say that the only modes they ever use are the pressure cook, the saute function, and the yogurt button. Now, when I heard that, I was a little taken aback because I personally use almost all the buttons, and I think they're very, very useful. So basically, the buttons are more like bookmarks for your favorite cook settings. Yes, they are all basically the same pressure cook mode and basically the same as pressing manual, but what I like to use them for is to save specific time settings. So for example, ever since I started doing the quick cooking steel cut oats in the Instant Pot, I always cook them on high pressure for 1 minute. This works well for the quick cooking steel cut oats and for the rolled oats, so why not save that under the porridge button? So now every time I cook my oats, I don't need to press manual and then find the exact time. I just press the porridge button and it's already set to 1 minute. So of course it does help to find what specific cook time works best for you. I do find that varies from person to person, but if you guys have any questions about cook times, let me know in a comment down below and I'll let you know what I usually use. But once you find the cook time that works best for you, you can save it as a preset. So another example for me is chickpeas. I cook them usually about once a week, and so I like to save that preset under the beans button. All I need to do is to add my chickpeas and to press beans, and I have previously set the timer to 46 minutes, so that's how long my chickpeas will cook for. And then of course, if I wanted to adjust the cook time on that specific day, let's say I wanted to cook the chickpeas for a little bit longer, I just add a couple more minutes. Whereas if I had pushed manual and the last cook time had been set to 1 or 2 minutes, I have to press that up button to get all the way up to 46 or 48 minutes. And that's just a couple extra steps that I don't need to do. So that is my personal suggestion for all these extra buttons that a lot of people say that they don't even use. I love to use them like bookmarks, and I find that even just having that option is so helpful and such an underused function. Now for the steam function, I usually just use it for steaming things like corn or beets. Sometimes I will use it for seitan as well, but mostly it's just for vegetables. The saute function I will use if I need to get some browning on the onions or garlic before adding the other ingredients to a dish. I think that function works really well. You can saute on low, medium, or high. And like I showed you guys before, that works without a lid. So you can be sauteing your onions and garlic, and then of course add everything else in on top, and then seal it with your regular Instant Pot lid. Now you also might notice that if you use the saute function, things come up to pressure faster. And that is because if everything is already hot inside, of course the Instant Pot won't need to work as hard to bring it up to pressure. So that's actually another tip that you can use. If you do use the saute function first, your whole Instant Pot will be hot already, which will make it come up to pressure faster, and then the whole cook process will be a little bit faster. The slow cook function, I don't use that often because I'm not as familiar with slow cooker recipes. If anyone has one to share, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to utilize this as a slow cooker. I'm just not as familiar with that style of cooking, so I don't use it that often. Although I have done it during the holidays for like a DIY home potpourri. You can just leave it on slow cook and add some delicious smelling ingredients like cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, etc. And that will make your whole house smell delicious. The rice button is another one that I feel like a lot of people avoid using. I personally have had really good success using it, so I always use it when I cook white rice. Now it does need to be white rice in particular because brown rice cooks longer. And this is actually a low pressure setting where the Instant Pot adjusts automatically based on how much rice and water is inside. That's why you'll see the word auto when you press the button. So if you're not having good success with the rice button, it may be that your rice and water ratios are off. That might be causing the Instant Pot to cook longer, which can make your rice be mushy, or to not cook long enough, which would make your rice turn out a little crunchy. So the ratio that I always use for white rice is 1:1. That means 1 cup of water for every 1 cup of rice. It is a little bit different from stovetop method because when you're cooking on the stovetop, some of that steam and water will evaporate when cooking. So since the Instant Pot seals all of that in with the pressure cooking lid, you're not gonna have any water loss or evaporation when cooking, which means you wanna use the exact right amount of water to grain. And then of course the yogurt function, I do use that often as well if I'm going to be making homemade yogurt. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. It's very easy to make your own yogurt at home in the Instant Pot. The yogurt setting will keep everything in there at 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is perfect for fermenting the yogurt. And I've also heard you can use it as a dough proofer. If you need a warm place to proof your dough, you can also use the yogurt function for that. And then my other favorite function is the delay start function. I have used this so many times before, especially with cooking oatmeal. If I have a super busy morning and I have forgotten to make my oatmeal for the week, what I like to do is put all the contents inside. Then I just press the porridge button, which of course will automatically set my timer for me, and then the delay start function. Now again, you do have to keep in mind the amount of time it will take to come up to pressure and release that pressure. So if you want to be eating your oatmeal at 8 o'clock in the morning, make sure you add in that time for it to come up and down from pressure. If you don't have a lot of oatmeal in there, I would say adding on just about 30 minutes total cook time should be enough. That would be about 15 minutes to come up to pressure and 15 minutes to release. So in this situation, if you put all of your contents in at 6 o'clock in the morning, you want it to start cooking at 7:30. So all you would need to do is press the porridge button and then the delay start for 1.5 hours. It'll start cooking automatically at 7:30. It'll give it enough time to come up to pressure. It'll only cook for 1 minute and then also some time to release the pressure. And then your oatmeal should be ready to go at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it is really convenient to have that option. It's great if I want to go to the gym or something in the morning and have oatmeal ready to go when I come back. Now let's talk about the burn warning. If you have ever been cooking something in the Instant Pot and read BURN across the screen, you are probably devastated. You're thinking your dinner is ruined. Now that may not always be the case. I have read that the Instant Pot does not like thick liquid. So things like tomato sauce, for example, can ignite this burn warning. That is why oftentimes if you see a recipe with tomato sauce or tomato paste, they will tell you just to leave it on the top and not to stir it in. So basically, if you get that burn warning, it means there's not enough liquid in there. And if you catch it right away, you can likely just add some liquid in and let it go back to cooking. So just keep in mind, if you are cooking with a thicker liquid, such as tomato sauce, just either keep it on the top or watch your Instant Pot closely. Make sure that burn warning doesn't go off. Now, I've already mentioned about cleaning most of these parts in the dishwasher, but there is also another super simple way to steam clean the inside of your Instant Pot. So if you have any leftover funky smells in your lid or your sealing ring, this is a great way to get them out. We are going to do it together right now. So to steam clean this Instant Pot, you can either use 2 cups of vinegar or 2 cups of water with a lemon rind. And all we're gonna do is add that to the inner liner, press steam for 2 minutes, and let the Instant Pot run. Once it's finished, take out that inner silicone ring and let it dry completely. So I definitely love the Instant Pot for its bean cooking functions. I cook pretty much all of my beans from scratch. I used to actually cook beans from scratch on the stovetop, and it just took a long time. Of course, you also have to soak them overnight that way, and this eliminates a lot of those steps. It reduces the time by a lot as well. So that is definitely one of the reasons that I love the Instant Pot. But I have to say that the main reason I love it is for the hands-off cooking. When I cook on the stovetop, I'm either stirring or checking to make sure things are cooking properly, adjusting the heat or temperature of the stove, and basically just babysitting that pot. When I cook in the Instant Pot, I can set it and forget it. I literally don't think about it until it's done cooking. So some of my favorite meals to cook in here are congee, which is a Chinese rice porridge, 3 bean chili, this one is delicious, lasagna soup, carrot cake oatmeal, this one is great for fall, and of course yogurt. So I've actually put together a short list of my favorite Instant Pot recipes. I'm gonna leave those right here so you can watch them after this video. And let me know in a comment down below if there are any tips that I forgot, or if there's something new you've learned today. I would love to hear about it. And with that, let's eat plants, and I'll see you guys next time.